Minnesota did it. Literally, ladies and gentlemen, for years, I've always been talking, or you've heard me talking about the hybrid model, right? Pushing a model where you're trying to force every driver to be an employee ain't gonna work. This employer-employee relationship that Rideshare Drivers United pushes ain't gonna work, right? What these guys have shown us in Minnesota, they have approved the minimum wage for Uber and Lyft drivers, and Aram says, hi fam. And they've shown us the way for the rest of the United States, right? I would carefully say that the UK and France are ahead of us in negotiating the very, very best deal. But right now, the best deal on the table, pretty much a hybrid model, which I've been pushing for years since the pandemic, has been achieved in Minnesota. If you look at $1.45 per mile, 34 cents per minute, and a starting point of $5, a starting point minimum, right? A minimum. Remember, I've always said, under 4, we don't whore, right? These guys, I'm telling you, they listened, and I want to congratulate you, all of the people in the room. You know why? Because they stormed the Capitol, they made noise, they got those politicians involved and afraid, they drew the media in, and they were vocal and they pushed it through. We will copy. Darryl, are you paying attention? Right? Are you paying attention? Because now it's time to cough up the money that you've been stealing, right? Got Danny Boy in the house. The model is in place. We now just need to duplicate it. You got to reach out to these guys here. You'll get the details in the link. You got to look at the bill, and you have to introduce city by city. You have to introduce these bills. I'm sorry, state by state, right? So that we raise the bar. When I look at the pathetic pay and what Uber and Lyft have done to LAX and Los Angeles, I mean, like peanuts, right? 50, 60 cents or whatever they're paying there. The airport tonight was empty again. Now, private trips, maybe it was an $800 a day, but these guys have just taken a massive step in the right direction. In Indianapolis, you're right, you do need it, right? But you have to fight for it. This stuff doesn't just get like presented to you, right? You can't just go up to the tree or the cherry tree and just pick this off. You have to fight for it, right? And I've been saying from day one, since they tried to push this Proposition 22 in California, start introducing hybrid models, right? The best of both worlds. What an independent contractor should deserve, right? And coupled with additional things that employees get, then you have the best model for success, right? Enoch, you're right. No one is fighting. If they're not fighting in your state, how can you ever? If you are just swallowing the garbage that Uber and Lyft and DoorDash, Postmates, Grubhub, Instacart, Amazon Flex shipped, if you are just eating off their plate, they will do what they want with you. You got to rise up. And, you know, these guys were hardcore. There you can see a little scared politician in there with his little suit. But these guys were vocal, right? And it's in their culture to be very vocal. Florida is getting awful. James, you're right about it. We've got 62 people in the house. Smash the like button. It looks like this. And let's dive in here. The Minnesota Senate passed a bill on Sunday, tonight, that would set minimum pay rates for Uber and Lyft drivers and establish greater protections against wrongful termination or deactivation. Now, when it comes to wrongful termination or deactivation, I cannot even tell you how many hundreds of those I help with, assisting with packaging up wrongful deactivations, handing them to attorneys so that they can file the appeal or attack the legal department at Uber or attack the legal department at Lyft or DoorDash, right? And do a combination of two things. File the appeal so that they can get back on Gig Rocket, and then also sue them. Yeah, that's right, we sue them. If you can get 10,000 damages in California and you can show damages, we sue them for max 10,000, right? Philadelphia, $12,000. Texas, $20,000. And we have collected and collected and collected for drivers, right? But here, they have said, no, right? You're not just going to wrongfully deactivate us. We're going to work that into this bill, right? There are going to be protections and clauses built into this bill to protect drivers in Minnesota. And that's what I ultimately hope that happens state by state by state, right? That when it comes to wrongful terminations and deactivations, and I brought this one up directly with David Risher. I said, you guys are doing a terrible job. The rider can say whatever they want, right? Whatever they want. And you support the rider's words, right? And that's sadly why we have to climb into the ring with you. 12 rounds, 15 rounds, we don't care. 10 rounds, we don't care. But we will climb in the ring with you and brawl until you understand where we are coming from, right? We will knock these MFs out one by one by one. These trashy executives, they have no idea how hard they will hit the canvas. They hit the canvas tonight, ladies and gentlemen, in Minnesota. They hit it hard, lights out, KO. It was a KO achieved by drivers after 15 rounds in Minnesota. And if you don't have the same attitude in life, if you are not willing to fight, brawl, street battle, whatever you want to call it, with Uber and Lyft and get into the trenches and fight, you're going to lose. They will stampede, they will stomp all over you, right? So draw them into the fight, right? Get legislators involved, draw them and get the media involved, and then slug it out for 15 rounds. These guys won, and I just cannot. I mean, if I had champagne right now, I'd be popping a bottle of champagne. That's how happy I am for these people, because you have presented to us the roadmap. You have presented to us a proper hybrid model between independent contractor and employee, the best of both worlds. You have achieved that. And apparently, this guy in the picture here was instrumental. This senator here, right? Omar Fateh is his name. Now, Minnesota has long been a leader in protecting workers from being exploited and taken advantage of. But in the area of transportation network companies, Minnesota is lagging behind. The bill's chief author, Senator Omar Fateh, Minneapolis, said on the Senate floor, as independent contractors, Uber and Lyft drivers aren't entitled to the benefits afforded employees such as minimum wage, overtime pay, social security, and worker compensation insurance. The Senate and House passed the bill HF 2369. I love that last bit, 69, in the final days of the legislative session, despite warnings from the companies that the regulations could cause prices to double and demand to plummet. Uber said it might even shut down operations in the state completely. Go ahead, Uber. You've made all these idle threats before. Go ahead and shut it down, right? You're only going to hurt yourself. So Governor Tim Walz has been decidedly non-committal about signing the bill, saying just a few hours before the Senate vote that there is a long way to go. This is an economy that needs to be looked at. And now, if Senator Walz says that, right, I can tell you what, he is getting campaign money from Uber and Lyft, right? They are protecting his ass. He's protecting the corporations. The companies are paying into his fund, into his campaign, right? Because a politician will never ever speak like this unless you grease their palm, unless you make the deposits in their account, right? They will, if you are doing that, they will protect corporate America. It's a pretty screwed up thing about American politics, let me tell you. Whether it's a Democrat or Republican, these guys are sellouts to corporations. I don't really, South Africa, where I grew up, is the most corrupt of all politicians, right? In Europe, this shit won't fly, right? In Europe, you can't go as a corporation and buy yourself politicians. In America, you can, sadly. So as long as these companies deposit in their campaigns, these governors and whoever, Republicans and Democrats, will protect them, So you have to bring the fight to them. You got to make these politicians understand we are the people, right? You work for us. We don't work for you. You know, and Governor Walz, you work for us. We don't work for you. And the Republicans and Democrats in that state, you work for us. So if you don't protect us, if you don't pay us, we vote your ass out. Very, very simple. That's how politics work. I grew up in a family of politicians. So this is an economy that needs to be looked at. If the bill becomes law, Minnesota would follow Washington State and New York City in setting minimum pay rates. It's pretty much done. I mean, Monday morning, I will be making a follow-up video, right? The bill passed 35 to 32, picking up the support of one Republican Senator, Jim Abela of Anoka. After the vote, Uber and Lyft drivers lifted Fateh on their shoulders in celebration inside the Capitol, where they had been demonstrating for days. For days, they camped out there for days. Not just for a day, for days. We've got Dante in the house, we've got Los Lakers in the house. So US Rep Omar visited the Capitol on Sunday to lend her support to Uber and Lyft drivers. Omar addressed the drivers in Somali and English. Looks like there were a lot of Somali drivers there. Strongly urged the governor not to stand in the way of the passage of this bill and get ready to sign this bill and support those who supported him. Uber and Lyft both blasted the bill and urged Walz to issue his first ever veto in more than 4 years in office. So they want Walz to veto this. Can you imagine how much money Uber and Lyft must be paying Walz to ask him to veto this? Just think about that, right? And if he vetoes that, Walz, we're coming after your ass. I'll make a video personally for Mr. Walz if he vetoes this bill. It's game on. It's war, right? It's war. If you throw the drivers under the bus, Governor, it's war. We are going to hit you so hard in social media, it's going to cost you your next 4 years. I can guarantee you that. The bill requires transportation network companies, including Uber and Lyft, to pay drivers $5 minimum, plus $1.45 per mile, and 34 cents per minute in the 7-county Twin Cities metropolitan area. Drivers would also be entitled to 80% of cancellation fees if they have already departed to pick up a rider, as well as $1.25 per mile and 10 cents per minute if the companies charge customers for a long pickup. They had to fight for that. It wasn't handed to them. They had to fight for it, right? So the rates in Minnesota, Bill, for the Twin Cities metro area are slightly higher than those mandated by Washington State, which is $1.27 per mile and 37 per minute. Seattle's rate, $1.50 per mile and 64 cents per minute, are only slightly higher than the Twin Cities, despite having a significantly higher cost of living, right? So Washington and Minnesota have carved the way. We have 91 people in the house. We've got 44 likes. Hit it! Hit it! Hit it hard. Dylan's in the house. Yash is in the house. Awareness is in the house. Dustin is in the house. How are you, my friend? And how are the kiddos? Much love from Cali, my friend. Wonderful to see Dustin here tonight. What time is it? You must be burning the midnight oil over there, Dustin. You're in Jersey, right? Shout out. Send him a lot of love to Dustin. Smash that like button. I learned that from him, right here. That pink little whip. I'll never forget that, my friend. Never, ever forget that when you made the first video. So huge shout out to Dustin and his family and his kids. Much love from my family. The proposed minimum rates in the bill have been cut nearly half since Fateh first introduced the bill. Under those rates, a driver would receive $40 for a 10-mile, 15-minute trip between Minneapolis and St. Paul. That doesn't include the fees Uber and Lyft would collect for themselves. Now, what is Uber already doing? They're threatening the riders. Oh, your rates are going to go up 30%. So shall it be. If you want to charge the riders 30% more, so shall it be. But the time has come, Dara Khosrowshahi and David Risher, to pay your drivers. And because you haven't been paying your drivers, and because you haven't been keeping them safe, unfortunately, we had to get in the ring with you and brawl you for 15 rounds until we knocked you out to the canvas. And we will do that state by state by state. That is my promise in this channel. We achieved it in Washington, we achieved it in Minnesota, and we will do it for all other 48 states, right? So fight on, my friends. So the bill passed by the legislature also includes protections for drivers against wrongful deactivations. Drivers complain that the company can kick them off the app for any reason, leaving them with a large car payment and no recourse to get their jobs back. Transportation network companies would be required to have clear written rules stating the circumstances under which a driver may be deactivated or sanctioned. Companies must provide drivers with a written explanation for any proposed deactivation or sanction, and drivers would have the right to appeal those decisions, just like we do. Darren needs to resign. Things have only gotten worse since he joined. Amen. Thank you for your wise words. So, good news. This is good news. It's a step in the right direction. The companies say those rules could force them to find victims of assault or other serious misconduct to testify in order to keep problem drivers off the platform. The companies also take issue with the bill's provision requiring them to allow former drivers to challenge deactivations going back to 2021. Thank you, my friend. Flo Kunle in the house. High five. Great success. Let's brawl. My wife sends messages to me saying, Dara now. There's Flo Kunle in the house. He's ready, right? He's ready. He's got the gloves on. He's got the gloves on. It's time to strap up, my friends. It's time to strap up. We are going to make contact there on every level, even if it means a couple of little uppercuts or a couple of little jabs. We're going to knock these guys out. Boom, 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 boom. It's going to be good night. Sleep tight, Dara. Lying on the canvas, Dara looking up. Tongue sticking out of his mouth. That's what happened to you in Minnesota. Abstract Echo, Jimmy in the house. Gee whiz in the house. We are going to knock these executives out one by one by one by one. Pay us or get out. Keep us safe or get out. So good fighting spirit there. Lawmakers in Washington state, however, have passed legislation to make Uber and Lyft drivers eligible for workers' compensation, unemployment insurance, paid sick leave, and paid family and medical leave. So I'd say the Washington package is definitely a lot better than Minnesota, right? Awareness is power. Exactly. So the bill explicitly states it doesn't affect any law regarding independent contractors or whether a transportation network company is an employee of a driver. So my news to Rideshare Drivers United. You guys have been taking money from drivers as that union month after month, and you've delivered nothing. And the reason why they haven't delivered nothing at RDU, right, is because they are pushing the employer-employee model. You got to take what an independent contractor does, and you have to fight for the add-ons, right? All the little add-ons that you want, all the little protections, all the little extras. That is what you got to fight for. So start with the model of the IC, independent contractorship, and then introduce in the bill all the little add-ons. Then you are victorious, right? So I'm just letting RDU know that is the way. Your way ain't working. And all those people paying the monthly dues to Rideshare Drivers United, expecting miracles to happen, it won't happen. They will fight every step of the way if you're trying to turn this into an employer-employee model. You have to fight for the hybrid model, achieved in Washington, achieved in Minnesota. Everything else, my friends, everything else is
bullshit detected.
Take precautions. Take precautions. So we've got 90 people in the house. On your way out, let's get it up to 70. I got to get some sleep. I've been going all Saturday, all Sunday, from early 4, 5 a.m. till night. I am spent. I am tired, right? But I had to make this video because I owed it to these people because they have fought and they have fought and fought. So good night, Los Lakers. Dustin, didn't they achieve it in New York? They achieved quite a bit in New York. They achieved a pay increase, but they didn't really get all of those other protections and add-ons. So New York will probably have to keep on fighting and striking. And again, I also want to say, for all the naysayers, there were a lot of people, a lot of YouTubers, not Dustin, not Dustin, but there are a lot of other YouTubers that said, Torsten, your strikes, your boycotts, going nowhere. I want to introduce you to these people then, right, that showed us the way, because they fought, they boycotted, they striked. Never, ever tell me that if you work together as a team towards a goal, pushing your points across, getting into a capital with bullhorns, with hundreds and hundreds of drivers, and getting the media involved, and not only just doing it once, but twice, 3 times, 4 times. Never ever tell me, ever, that you cannot achieve it. So I've proven those guys that have made those videos, you guys know who you are. You know who you are, right? You were wrong, right? You were wrong. And not expecting any apology or anything, but like my approach was called pathetic, right? I know what it means to fight. I was in the army for 3 years, right? And if you don't stand up and fight for yourself, you're going nowhere in life, right? So they know what this means, right? That striking, boycotting, protesting, and sticking to your points, sticking to better pay, sticking to better safety, sticking to protections always wins the day, right? How can you say it won't work if you haven't even tried it out? Are you surrendering before you even start? These people don't know the word surrender. They only knew the word brawl. Let's brawl, let's fight, let's go, 15 rounds. We will be victorious. And they are victorious. So appreciate you all. I'm off to bed. Have a great one, my friends. Have a really, really good one. It was good to see Dustin here tonight. Shout out to Dustin. Shout out to Dustin, his driving channel, and his kids and his wife. Ladies and gentlemen, copy the Minnesota model. Copy the Washington model. Let's go and brawl. Let's go to war with these guys and win the fight. This is what it's about, my friend. We need to get paid our worth. God bless you all. Appreciate you. Good night, my friends. Sleep tight, sweet dreams. Take care. Josh, is he ignoring me? Maybe I'm ignoring you. I don't have time for everyone. Michael Fortner in the house. Adam, top commenter in the house. Entrepreneur in the house. Right? In the Cincinnati market, and it covers 3 states. Kentucky, Ohio, gonna be a pain to get them together. Peace out for Michael Fortner. Los Lakers, you're welcome. Josh, you're welcome. KK, Erkan in the house. San Fran, all of you guys. Crazy Insane Video Productions. Shout out to all of you. Dustin says, yeah, the problem is Americans don't work together. If everyone strike together, then we could make a change. Amen. Amen to that. Take care, everyone. Please be safe. Please be safe. A lot of good videos coming out tomorrow. Take care. Good night.